The Florida Podcast Network, the voice of Florida.
From Mallory Square in Key West to the Governor's Mansion in Tallahassee and all points beyond, you're listening to the Florida Beer Podcast, powered by FloridaBeerBlog.com, your source for all things related to the craft beer community in the Sunshine State. And now your host, Dave Butler.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is episode 99 of the Florida Beer Podcast, powered by FloridaBeerBlog.com. It's kind of amazing. I'm going to save all the gushy stuff for the next episode, which is fine. This is Dave, your host and author. I will let you know when episode 100 is coming out if you follow us on social media. Can you do that? All right. We are on Florida Beer Blog on Instagram and Twitter, FL Beer Blog on Facebook, and our awesome site is FloridaBeerPodcast.com. Obviously, the sister site, FloridaBeerBlog.com, which is where you'll see a lot of pictures and things for some of the breweries that I'm speaking to and some of the beers I've been able to try. We're also at FloridaPodcastNetwork.com. That is our main organization. We are a proud member of that network. Got some great episodes and great new podcasts that are coming out. I'm finally almost ready to announce the next podcast that's coming out. I'm super excited about it. Cannot wait to tell you all. Can't say a word. So unfortunately, you're going to have to stand and just keep listening, which hopefully you will. So today's episode is going to be kind of funny. And if you have ever been to the Grand Central District in St. Pete, Florida, and you have been to right around the corner, Arcade Brewery, you will understand exactly what I'm talking about. It's not exactly a big distributing, canning kind of brewery. It's literally built into an old house. And the co-owner and brewmaster, Tom Rockhill, who we are going to be speaking with today, told me all about it. You'll hear all about their background and hear a lot more about video games than I usually talk about on this podcast. And hopefully one of the things that I'll be able to put up on social media is the enshrined Nintendo Power Glove, which I thought was amazing. I will say that this is a definite potato quality episode. Did not realize until 5 minutes before our interview started that the SD card from my recorder had completely died. So I literally downloaded an audio recorder to my phone, plunked it in the center of the table. And so not only will you hear everything, you'll also hear a lot of crashing and banging and booming of my daughter playing Skee-Ball up in the upper floors. So it's going to be... This episode went off the rails a little bit, and Tom was loving every second of it, and I was loving every second of it, and I just gotta go back there and play some Skee-Ball, you know? But in the meantime, Tom Rockhill, right around the corner, Arcade Brewery, episode 99 of the Florida Beer Podcast. Enjoy.
Batteries all died on them. I used to change colors, and
I was gonna say how many people were excited to see an old school Power Glove here.
most of the people we have coming in don't even know what it is.
Oh, that's so sad.
I have to explain it to people. I was I was the cool kid on the block in 1989 because I had the Power Glove.
Do any of the people that actually know what that is ever quote The Wizard?
Yes. I don't remember what quotes from The Wizard. I remember The Wizard. That was a great movie.
Very good.
With Fred Savage and his little
about it. Yeah,
autistic brother.
Pretty much.
That movie was so great.
Yeah,
that's where we learned about Mario 3.
Exactly.
My head exploded watching that movie. I can't wait to go buy that game.
That was such a naked Nintendo
Oh, yeah.
advertisement.
Absolutely.
Let's be perfectly honest.
But it worked so organically, and every kid. I mean, I'm 41, and I watched that when it came out, and everybody my age was going, "Yeah, go to Kmart. Got to go buy Mario 3 as soon as it comes out." And it was a game-changing game.
No,
Mario 3
absolutely.
was amazing.
Absolutely.
2, we're going to give him a pass on.
Yeah, well, 2 wasn't really Mario.
No, it was another game that
Sprite
they
change. Yeah.
They just said, "We'll throw Mario's head on this," and
I actually got a 70.
you got a 70. Good job.
Can you shoot for 100?
I bet you can get 100.
If you get 100, I'll let you have dinner tonight.
Ooh, that's a good deal.
Well, you usually let me have dinner every night.
I think he's supposed to.
Yeah.
It's like by law.
Go play. Go play. Go see what you can get.
I'm gonna see if I can get 100 on it.
Go for it.
I'm gonna get it 300.
Good. Go for it.
300 would be really good.
What's gonna come out of the machine?
Nothing.
And nothing comes out of the machine.
Just love
You
it.
used to get tickets back in the day, and then if it was at an arcade, you can go get toys.
Yeah. You've been to places like that.
Jeez.
There's a place down by us called the Silver Ball Museum.
Okay.
It's all old school pinball,
pinball?
machines, but
Yep.
they're like meticulously restored with information.
Yep.
But the back wall is just Skee-Ball. And we went
Wow.
once and we couldn't get her away from it.
Yeah, every time we go to Denver and we go hit one up, like those places are just insane.
Well, I guess since we are recording, that's a good point. How do you decide to make a building that is part brewery and part arcade?
I mean, the decision came from us opening the place. We're no spring chickens anymore. We don't want to hang out downtown with the loud doing Jaeger bombs and that kind of crowd. Like, we want to hang out, play some video games.
You're not really the Fergs kind of crowd?
No, I'm not a nighttime crowd either. More like I'm in bed by 9 o'clock. I'm old, man. We want to create something where people could come and hang out. And I know there's a lot of trash talking on the breweries that let kids in, but we didn't even have kids when we opened this. We became family men after.
Okay.
But I mean, come here on Saturday and there's not only kids, but really proud dads watching their kids, play Mike Tyson's Punch-Out for the first time ever. And it just brings you back. It's one of those things you come and you hang out and you start playing a game and
Yeah.
you go, oh yeah, I want to hang here. And then the beers, they help too.
Yeah, I was going to say. So I would assume that the video games, you, like me, like every other standard issue male growing up in the 80s and 90s, were just glued to your console.
Yeah, I grew up in Connecticut. Like wintertime, we weren't called gamers. It was just winter in Connecticut. You sat there and you played Nintendo until it was May and time to go back outside.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
So we want to bring that back, the nostalgia. The people that walk in here and see all these old games they used to play, they could sit for 2 to 3 hours.
Yeah.
But that's just kind of the atmosphere of here.
Yeah.
Like dads sit down, having a beer, talking to another dad, and then the kids run down. I just beat the first level of Mario, and there's celebrations.
With one notable exception down the street, and even then it's not even the entire facility, it's only the new part. St. Pete seems to be a family-friendly brewery city.
Yeah.
Tampa depends on where you go.
Yep.
There's some definite places
Even here in
where I
St.
could
Pete, like Green Bench, family friendly. Web City, next door, no kids.
But I think that is brilliant.
Yeah.
I know Three Daughters does that sometimes. They've got, here's the adult area for the people that don't want, but they are so incredibly family friendly that it's just amazing. But it seems like St. Pete does not have a lot of the hang-ups on that other brewery cities tend to do.
Yeah.
Why do you suppose that is?
Because it's St. Pete.
Okay.
I mean, I guess if you don't live in St. Pete, you don't know what that means. But St. Pete, you can bring your dog everywhere. You can bring your kid everywhere. Like, it's St. Pete. It's a different vibe here.
It seems to be a lot more relaxed.
We're a lot more relaxed. I think it's the whole peninsula. We've got a lot more beach to us. It's the laid back beach atmosphere.
Okay.
I don't hang out in Tampa very often. I mean, it was Tampa Bay Beer Week. I went to Tampa a bunch of times. That's probably it for a couple months, unless I got to go get on an airplane. Tampa tends to be kind of a little more intense and got their own vibe going on, which is great. I love the vibe over there. But
well, it seems to be, and other people here in Pinellas County have mentioned that basically when you're on one side of the bay, you stay on that side of the bay and nobody crosses the bridges.
yeah.
Like if you're a Hillsborough person, you stay in Hillsborough. If you're Pinellas, you stay in Pinellas.
Yeah.
If you're in Pasco, you got to figure out which side of the fork you want to go down.
You're screwed up there. I don't know what you're supposed to do. No, I make jokes all the time. I'd rather drive to Atlanta than Tampa. Like the bridge and the traffic, and I'm hating on Tampa a lot right now.
I was going to say.
But no, I there's a lot of good stuff over there, but it's just a different vibe here in St. Pete. It's very
much so.
exciting.
No, absolutely.
And we love how big it's getting here in St. Pete.
I kind of want to talk about, St. Pete in the Grand Central District in particular. But I will say, like, exactly what brought you, and I guess this question is sort of obvious, what brought you from Connecticut to Central Florida?
I moved here 15 years ago to fish. I used to live in a small little island off the coast of Rhode Island called Block Island, and I fished 5 months out of the year.
Okay.
And I got tired of only doing it 5 months out of the year. I wanted to do it year round. So
absolutely.
I came down here and got a job on a fishing boat.
Nice.
And I was doing commercial stone crabbing and sport fishing charters. It was wonderful. And then one day I decided to open a brewery.
So how difficult was that process to be? Because we're here in the Grand Central District. You are definitely one of the big players, because we'll talk about Grand Central beer down here in a little bit.
Okay.
But for the district, for the breweries that are here in the district, I guess I would easily say that you are the smallest.
I think we're the smallest in Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay.
I brew 31.5 gallons at a time. I'm a one barrel system. I've got 16 taps to try to keep full.
Okay.
I brew every day and I still can't keep up.
And I guess, was that a frightening step to take, to be, and I use this term liberally because you are a fishing person, a small fish in a big pond?
I kind of like being the small fish.
Okay.
It's nice to hang out with the big fish every once in a while. But it was a big step to take. We started brewing on a 5-gallon system.
Jeez.
And I would brew all week, and it'd take a week to ferment, a couple days to keg it up, and then the beer would go on for a week, it'd be gone. But we were in very limited space, so all we could fit was a one-barrel system in the back. That's right. But the good part about being a one-barrel guy is I can do all the best ingredients.
Yeah.
I don't have to get my coffee from a 5-gallon bucket. Like, I go to the local coffee roasters and get coffee, and the guys that roast the coffee know what I'm doing with it. And my pumpkin beer is called Charred Walls of the Yammed, and I roast 50 pounds of pumpkin per barrel over my grill at home before I go ahead and put it in.
That's amazing.
So, yeah, the best spices, the best teas, all the best ingredients, because we can afford to do it that way.
Well, you can afford it. And do you feel that it has a noticeable effect on the finished product?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not that artificial coffee flavor in the coffee blonde. It's not that artificial pumpkin flavor in the pumpkin beer. We just had a friend of ours send us down a bunch of huckleberries that I'm going to put in a milkshake blonde. Milkshake blonde with huckleberry.
That sounds kind of amazing.
Yeah.
I've heard of anything like that before.
Which is also the cool thing about being the smallest brewery.
Yeah.
And I'm saying St. Pete, probably I'll try to claim Tampa Bay, but I could just do these experiments, and if they don't work, whatever. No, it's no big skin.
And that's exactly what I see for the breweries that are your size. It's like, yeah, I just feel like doing this thing.
Yeah.
I can do this thing.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Well, what are you talking about? Why are you doing that? And I go, I don't know, because I decided to do it.
Oh, that's funny. So we came down here to fish. Which came first? Moving down here or learning?
Moving down here, I learned how to brew. My mom went to TJ Maxx, I think it was, and saw the Mr. Beer kit. And she's like, oh, my son likes to drink beer, so I'm going to buy him one. And it sat on my shelf for months.
Really?
And I decided to bust it out, and I made a semi-decent, I think they called it like the cowboy golden ale.
Okay.
And it came out okay. We drank it on a boat, of course, because that's just how I do. My friends were going, this is pretty good.
I think another ball just fell. Yeah.
That's having more Skee-Ball. So then me trying to be the perfectionist that I am, I get on YouTube and I go, how to hack the Mr. Beer kit.
Okay.
And I learned about grains. But back then I had to drive once again, crossing that bridge over to Tampa to go to a homebrew shop. There was not a homebrew shop here in St. Pete.
Which is funny because we're right down the street from one now.
Because now Avid is a bike ride away from me. So
it's that way, isn't it?
They're that way.
Sorry.
So if it's afternoon, Wednesday through Sunday, and I forgot something for my brew day, quick bike ride, and I got what I need.
Nice. So we've got the general area, and we've got the interest in making beer. We don't have that initial step to say, hey, let's actually put money down and open a facility.
So that was me and my business partner, Johnny. He started a run club called Running for Brews, where we go and run out of a different bar about 5 nights a week.
Okay.
And him and I dealing with different bars around the area. And then we started homebrewing. We're like, I think we could put the two things together and try it out. None of us have any experience in the bar restaurant industry, except for I used to cook in some kitchens and that kind of stuff. But we just took a chance. We opened a beer bar. We were a beer bar for the first 8 months, trying to sell nothing but local beers.
Okay.
And then we got the brewer's license, and we started on that 5-gallon system. And then that didn't last very long. We went, well, we gotta scale this up a little bit. And
was that in this facility, or was that someplace else?
Still in this facility. So this place used to be a gelato shop.
Before that, this clearly used to be
a house. And yeah, I would really love to do some research to find out what else this used to be. The Grand Central District has a history. Like, there were underground strip clubs here. And
really?
Yeah, like, this place was not nice. We've been open 6 years now. 6 years ago, I wouldn't want to be here that much after dark, politely asking the transients to leave and not ask my customers for money. And then now 6 years later, this is one of the most sought after districts in St. Pete.
I was going to say,
everybody wants to be here.
I hate to use the word gentrification, but there's definitely a lot of that rebuilding.
It's amazing what's happened here. And it's pushing outwards now. Like the areas north and south of here, which used to be not very desirable, are all picking up too.
Interesting.
So we got in at the right time. The dog bar next to us, they were here about 6 months before us, and they were like one of the first bars to open up. Tap House 61 down the road. Like, we came into nothing. We took a gamble and it paid off.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, because with Grand Central not just being a nicer area to live and really sort of cleaning up, but it's become, I would say, its own beer community, its own sort of microcosm.
Yeah, they're
brewing within Tampa Bay.
If I'm shy of an ingredient for a brew day, there's 8 different breweries whose brewers I have numbers for that I can just text or call and say, hey, you got a pound of Centennial I can borrow, which happened this week. And it's, once again, ride your bike down and get it. Sure, no problem. Because we'll be calling you one day going, hey, you have some of this. It's a great place to be.
That's awesome. Do you think that the Grand Central District has its own style of beer? It's what the people tend to prefer? Because I will say this specific area, not down to Green Bench, but just this little area of you and Avid and, Paw and Cage, 3 Daughters, If I Brew the World, doesn't seem to be necessarily heavy on the big hype beers. It tends to be a little bit cleaner, a little bit more...
I think we do what we want. Which is great because we're all smaller guys. Me brewing 1 barrel at a time. If I Brew the World just scaled up to a 5-barrel system, added down like a 7, like we can kind of screw around and have fun.
Nice.
Which is what people like.
And I guess that leads to something that we have spoken about on the podcast before, the Grand Central Beer Day.
Yeah.
Coming from you.
Love Grand Central Beer Day.
How has that really started to kick off, and how was the latest?
Let's see, when was the last one?
It's been a couple months.
That was back in the fall, like we did a beer day.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
So we are recording this on St. Patrick's Day, and it is the 2-year anniversary of the state of Florida shutting us down for a quick 2 weeks. So yeah, I like to remember that. Past couple years of Grand Central Brew Day have been interesting. But it was taken off. Like it was a big thing, and it was nice to get people here to Grand Central District to get away from downtown and go, oh, there's actually breweries here. It's not a Cycle or a St. Pete or Green Bend.
I was going to say, at this point, does Tampa Bay Beer Week almost feel like just the Tampa Beer Week and St. Pete needs its own?
It might almost be time for that. Tampa Bay Beer Week's great. We participated in a lot of events this year because I couldn't do anything for 2 years.
Yeah, exactly.
I missed it. We didn't have anything to do. And I was like, oh, cool, let's go. Ultimate Brewer was at Seventh Sun this year. And instead of being a weird ingredient beer competition, it was a collaboration. And to be honest, I didn't want to go at first. I was like, we're going to go hang out. We got to drive across the bridge. And it ended up being a lot of fun. It was brewers getting back together and hanging out.
Oh, cool.
Like the people I was talking to are people I haven't talked to in years. And some of the big name brewers in the Tampa Bay area were just hanging out there. Doug from Cycle's been one of my heroes since he was Doug from Pegs, and I actually got to sit and talk to him for a little bit, which was fun.
We've got the beers, we've got the taps, but that is a small portion of the experience here. We are obviously surrounded by pinball games and old consoles.
It's an experience.
How do you collect that experience? How difficult was it to get all of these things?
A lot of it was taken from our houses. Personal stuff. The games, there's a company that leases them to us. We own some of them. But then all the console games, the Nintendo, the Sega, the Super Nintendo, the Nintendo 64. Once again, some that we owned. Amazon's great. Used game stores are great. You got to remember we're dealing with a lot of drunk people, so our game selection sometimes goes away a little bit. People like to walk away with things.
Yeah. I guess that's a really interesting question because, some people, you get the right or the wrong people playing Street Fighter or whatever, and, motions can kind of flare up. Do you have a lot of issues with people going crazy more over the games than anything else?
People get excited. We haven't had any fist fights over video games yet in our 6 years of being here. But it's great because people do get so excited. People go, I haven't played Mario 3 in 20 years, and they come and sit down and play it. We do a Mario Kart tournament on the 64 every month that people love coming out to play because everyone's got the same story. I used to smoke a lot of pot in college and was really good at Mario Kart. Kind of makes me want to go to college.
I know, right?
It's like for a week.
This literally is like the ultimate college hangout.
Yeah. It's
back in the 90s. I guess right now still. Yeah.
It's fun. I've got a dad's group. There goes the cruising world. But I've got a dad's group from my daughter's school that comes and hangs out here every week. I'm like, this is the place to go get away. I'm back in the 90s when I'm here, and there's not a care in the world. And I can legally drink beer.
Absolutely. Well, legally, that's the important part.
It's the important part.
The one other thing, and it's funny that you mentioned the junk stores. The one thing that I've always found amazing about this brewery, and I know this is the smallest little thing, but using the old school 8-bit Nintendo zappers as tap handles.
That was one of my ideas. That's just a coupler you can go and buy. I don't think I got those at Home Depot. I had to go to one of the fancy stores. It's just a coupler and some super glue. The guns are obsolete now. You can't play them on a flat screen TV. They need the old school tube.
Really?
To actually reflect and tell you where you were shooting.
Interesting. I did not know
you can
that.
get them for like $1 a piece now.
That's funny.
We had a bag of them in the back just going, what are we going to do with these things? And I made tap handles. And that's one of the things people come in and take pictures of. Like, these tap handles are amazing. We need these. And I wouldn't be surprised. There's a bunch of them around the country now.
I would not be shocked at all. So with your tap list, and I will say that I find it amazing that for a system as small as yours, that you do signature beers. A lot of breweries tend to not be interested in doing something like that, but you've always wanted to make sure that Tiffany's Melons is the one that you are always available.
It's our flagship. That's our money maker. I can make that beer twice a week and it still wouldn't be enough.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But obviously, there are times where you can. You've got a lot of guest taps, which I've noticed. When it comes time to the guest taps, how much control do you have as to what goes into your system? Is this something that you...
Me, personally, I have 100% control.
So how do you like to curate those?
I like to go local first and then classic second. Sierra Nevada Pale Ale is always going to be my backup for my pale ale because that's my OG beer. That's the one I was drinking in high school. And most people are drinking Meisterbrau. I was, no, just buy me a 6-pack of Sierra Nevada and I'll be happy. Other than that, yeah, we try to go local. Let's see. Let's look at the tap list.
I mean,
right
you've
now.
got Masteries. You've got...
We got Masteries. Love Matt and Wayne over there. Kenji's my dude over at Crook. We got some Escape up right now. And then Kill Farms is usually our house cider.
One of the things that you mentioned, that was one of the reasons why I picked the beer that I did, is that even though you are a small brewery, even though you are working on a small system, you still have that charitable aspect, not just to the business, but to a lot of the byproducts that you have.
Absolutely. I mean, why not be charitable, especially to these local places that are doing great things. So what you're sipping on is Trail Junk. That's our base Goza. We dry hopped it with Strata, which has this kind of marijuana-y. Then we threw some blueberry in it. One of our bartenders, his name is Ty, he started a nonprofit called Trail Junk, where he goes around and picks up junk on the side of the road. We did the Skyway Bridge last weekend. He does a lot of the beaches. So I also give him my empty grain bags because they're hardy and they're waterproof. And it's not just buying trash bags to put trash in and then throw away. So it's been awesome. He's been loving it. They're fairly new. They've done 5 or 6 pickups so far, with hundreds and hundreds of pounds of garbage getting picked up from the sides of the roads and the parks in St. Pete, put into old grain bags and tossed away.
It's kind of amazing. I would be deathly afraid of doing the Skyway Bridge.
I mean, we're not on the Skyway. You know the part right before where all the people parasail and kiteboard. So that's where we did the last one. I think they're going to the beach this weekend because it is spring break, and I'm sure it's going to need some help.
Yeah.
But it costs me nothing. The bags are here. I buy hundreds of them a month. Like I said, they're sturdy, and they work for what he needs to do.
And one thing, because I know we've spoken about this previously, is how much you are into hops. In terms of understanding them, you've got some favorites that you particularly like to use. When you're going through the recipes, and especially since you have a carte blanche that few other breweries really get to have, how integral is it to really know what you're working with before you start jumping into just throwing something together? I
mean, back to the smallest brewery things, I've definitely had some. I found out the hard way Azacca hops do not work on their own. They need a little push.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's a lot of experimenting. My New England IPAs are always dry hopped with different stuff, and I like to see how they work. It used to be nothing but Citra. Citra's really expensive, and
everybody wants that one.
Yeah, and it smells like cat pee, and people really like it. It's interesting. So I've been playing Strata's fun. Lemon Drop's been fun. I've been trying to find these new hops and see what's going to work.
I'm a particularly big fan of Lemon Drop myself.
I really like Lemon Drop. So the Tampa Bay Beer Week Ultimate Brewer that we did this year, like I said, it was just a bunch of the brewers getting together, drinking Coors Banquet beer too, which is amazing. My wife was laughing. She's like, "You're at Seventh Son and there's Cantillon on tap and you're drinking a can of Banquet beer?" Yep, absolutely. 'Cause sometimes we need a basic beer. But every brewer that participated got to bring 4 ounces of hops that all went into whirlpools. So they just made this big, danky, crazy, hazy IPA. And I bought 4 ounces of Lemon Drop because that's been one of my go-to IPA hops.
That's funny. Very Frankensteinian.
Yeah.
But funny.
Let's see, that was almost 2 weeks ago, so that beer should be coming out soon. I don't know what they're going to call it. I'm sure they're going to call it something about Tampa Bay Beer Week, but be on the lookout for that. We made it at Seventh Son.
It's kind of amazing. Because you've got the small system, but because you have a good amount of following within the community, how often do you get asked, what are you going to can? What are you going to
every day
contract? What are
every
you
day.
Going to
twice today, and it's only 3
You're not
o'clock.
even open yet.
We're not even open yet. Twice today. I went for lunch. Shout out to Gateway Subs in the Grand Central District. They're the place to go get a sandwich if you need to.
Really?
And they were asking, like, so can we get Tiffany's melons, like, in cans to sell here? Every day. There's no possible way I can keep up with the 1-barrel system. I can't keep up with the front of the house here. Never mind distribution. So
it would be either getting something bigger Or
contracting, which
Yeah.
I don't like the idea of contracting because I like to have my hands on
absolutely.
everything I do. So, never know.
It's amazing how I guess this boils down to the big question of, do you need to grow bigger? Not you as a business, but a brewery in and of itself. Does it need to be bigger, or can you be happy being the size that you are?
I'm completely happy being the size we are. It's a great problem to have. I'm out of beer. I love coming in on Mondays. I take Sundays off, and I come in on Monday, and there's just a wall full of empty kegs. I'm proud to look at that and go, cool, I need to make more beer this week. It's a great problem to have. Would I like to expand? Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of breweries that I've seen that went ahead and had their dreams of getting distributed and being in every Publix, and then they're no longer here. So I don't want to do that. I know what I've got right now. I've got a good thing. I'm going to keep going. I would like to move to another area, open another location. I think this concept would work awesome on the beach. Might even think about going to Tampa.
But I guess if you were to open up another location, how much of it would be making the beers with the name, and how much of it would be the ambiance, the games, the rather eccentric nature of this building, and so on?
I mean, I think the ambiance comes from the building that we're in. You could drive by this place and not know. It frustrates me how many times people come in and go, I didn't even know you were here, and I've lived in St. Pete my whole life. We've been open 6 years. How did you not know the giant Mario painted building is...
You literally have to go in through a warp pipe to get into to the room that we're in.
So I think that's part of the ambience. We're in the district that's nice and mellow and relaxed, and it's very homey. It's inviting. You feel like you're at your rich friend's house when you're sitting here.
Yeah, I can. The one who always had the consoles.
Yeah.
I can see that. But the rich friend doesn't have beer.
The rich friend doesn't have beer. We have plenty of it. We have 19 taps, a wine tap too.
That is sort of amazing. I guess I will have to let you get back to making the beer. Thank you so much for coming on, and I appreciate it. So there we are. Next week, episode 100. We're probably going to do some fun stuff for that. Probably have a nice little retrospective episode before we go back and close out some of the interviews that I did in Tampa, St. Pete, and then we got some fun stuff in, of all places, Hialeah. We are literally going to Hialeah. There's only 2 breweries there, and we're going to be interviewing them both. In the meantime, make sure to follow us on social media. If you're listening to us on the podcasting app of choice, thank you so much. Make sure to like us, subscribe, and if it does rate like Apple does, please give us a 5-star review. It really does help. Thank you so much for everything. We will see you next week for episode 100. Bye now.